I am Clancy.
Hello, Internet. About a month ago, I asked you all who you thought Clancy was in a Google form, and I got a lot of really great responses. I'm going to try and read all of them today. In fact, I broke them down into categories so that we can run through it pretty quickly. I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to think. Yeah, my location has changed a little bit since I am reading stuff off of my computer. So I'm going to start reading, but here are the categories that we have. We have Clancy as a bishop, Clancy as a voice or as a spiritual entity, Clancy as Tyler, and Clancy as a citizen. We have Clancy as an alias or Clancy as Tyler. And I have some miscellaneous funny responses that are sprinkled throughout the video. And a lot of you guys had similar thoughts, but they're different enough for me to read each one. So let's get started. The prodigal son, done running. He's coming up with Josh Dunn, wanted dead or alive. Now, this is a funny response. They probably didn't want me to include it in the video, but I wanted to bring it up because the prodigal son does have some significance. In the Bible, the prodigal son is a parable told by Jesus, and a parable is just like an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. Prodigal son is a story about a son who wasted all of his father's inheritance and had to go live with like pigs just to pay off some debt and eat and have some food on the table. Then he returned to his father, very apologetic. Father, I've sinned against you. But instead of condemning his own son, his father through celebration, saying what once was lost now is found. And it's this big thing of returning home and being accepted by the father. So since Tyler does say Clancy is like the prodigal son, easily interpreted as Clancy is someone who has made mistakes in the past, who is returning home and is celebrated amongst his peers and superiors. It could be interpreted a couple different ways, but that's kind of how I see it. Returning to Dima is returning to his home and being celebrated amongst those who do want to be liberated from Dima. Our next theory, Midnight Dragons thinks that Clancy is Keon's son. Clancy means son of the Red Warrior. With Tyler's attention to detail, I think this is significant. This could explain why only he has the ability to seize, could also explain why he can be seized alive while nobody else can, and how he could resist the smearing in Jumpsuit, and possibly Paladin, although the ending was cut too short to tell exactly what happened afterwards. Could be another reason why Keon saved Clancy in Saturday 2. This is actually genius. In like Scottish, Clancy means son of the Red Warrior. It could honestly be true, be Keon's son. And also the song Clear saying I'm the son of all I've done might be a little nod there. At Just Me and Life 1 thinks that Clancy is an idea. It used to be Keon's before he became a bishop, then Tyler took on the name of Clancy / more or less the idea of Clancy. The only reason Keon's would help Tyler escape in Keon's presented him with the idea of the Psy propaganda era. Keon's has always been a reputable and kind bishop according to other citizens. I have a whole post on this, I've linked it in the description. There's also a lyric explaining how he chose the name Clancy to hide himself when releasing the letters, and now he has taken on the name of Clancy to be that martyr. Keon's had to have the same ideas as him once, but the bishops made him into one of them, and his ideas of changing Dima and bettering it went away, and so did the idea of Clancy. Clancy died twice, once when Keon's became Keon's, and once during the Psy era when Tyler thought that the idea was dead and he lost hope. Very substantial theory, but it kind of tracks. It's definitely a good idea to think that Clancy is just more or less of a religion or more or less of a uniting cause. At Clancy0524 over on YouTube says that Clancy is me, but nah, jokes aside, I don't fully believe Tyler is Clancy. A little detail I've been noticing is the cut on his nose and why it pops up in songs like Jumpsuit and Navigating off the top of my head. Then in others, it's gone. Also in Nico and the Niners, why was Tyler hesitant to go with them if he knew who they were and if he had escaped many times and gotten help from them like in Jumpsuit at the end? To me, I think Clancy and Tyler are two different people who look very, very similar, almost like identical twins, and it's easy to get them mixed up. This is honestly a valid opinion. I have a girl in my grade and I get called her name and she gets called my name, and being twins is easy enough theory. This is actually very true, and someone also in my comments mentioned that Clancy is a bishop and just said think about it. And I mentioned that the scar on his nose too, and how it suspiciously looks like the paint bishops wear. So food for thought. Coyote on Discord thinks that Clancy is more of an idea or title. Similar to how when a bishop dies, they're replaced, I think Clancy is a leader and a teacher for the Dima residents, a testament to the Banditos and hope beyond Dima. Absolutely true. I also think this kind of ties into the idea that Clancy is Nicholas Bourbaki. Not, Nico, but the historical Nicholas Bourbaki. It was a pseudonym, but it also represented a form of change and reformation because they completely reformed the mathematical industry. So this kind of ties into that idea as well, and I really like that idea. Finally, in this category, Clancy is a cat. I don't need to elaborate. Neither do I, anonymous user. Neither do I. Switching categories, we have now that Clancy is a voice, or in a more spiritual sense. At a poet-y6c on YouTube thinks that Clancy is the voice of hope within depression. As a result, any character who is instilling the hope of escape in the citizens of Dima can be called Clancy. Dima, the YouTuber, has theorized that Clancy is a title taken up by whoever is rallying the Dima citizens and Banditos, and I think that makes sense. I think Clancy is both the Clancy from the letters and Tyler. I think the nose scar is important, but I'm not sure whether that marks different characters. In allegorical sense, I think Clancy is the little angel on the shoulder to Nico's little devil on the shoulder, kind of. Even if there are two characters called Clancy that Tyler plays, perhaps Nose Scar Tyler and non-Nose Scar Tyler, that makes sense from an allegorical point of view, as Tyler can both be the person in the depression and be his sense of hope. I, for one, tend to think of rational me as more me than depression me is. Honestly, the Dima shout out makes this a really good theory. I'm kidding. No, but that really great theory. Absolutely, kind of going back to what I was saying about how Clancy is like Bourbaki. It's just whoever. I always kind of try and allude that to Radio Rebel, like not the whole that part, but like the part when she's on stage and she's like, "No, I'm Radio Rebel. No, I'm Radio Rebel. No, I'm Radio." That's kind of what I imagine it as. This is a very good theory. So the OG White Mask says that Clancy is Tyler's unconscious self. It explains what morph meant. Tyler's power is to morph himself and to go into a different version of himself, physically and mentally, and it's only Tyler and other people who can seize who can control it. Clancy is the more observant, sheepish, and unconfident side, hence the notes. Tyler is the more reluctant leader who tries to build confidence in himself. It also explains navigating. It's Clancy navigating himself through the idea that he's not ever been in control. Think Moon Knight or Fight Club. Before I elaborate further, I want you guys all to know I have an unhealthy obsession with Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada. I think he is so hot, and Moon Knight is like my favorite Marvel show ever. I've watched it like 8 times. It's so good. Anyways, absolutely. I think it's more of what Torchbearer is doing too, of just a spiritual entity who's casting themselves out. It's honestly a really cool idea since Tyler and Josh have been influenced by films in a lot of different ways. For example, Truman Show, Fight Club, Donnie Darko, aka some of the movie posters I have on my wall. I could totally see if Fight Club definitely had a big inspiration on them. I mean, especially with the navigating music video. Lovely friend of the channel, Groovy Ghost Notes on YouTube and everywhere else, says that my favorite idea is that Clancy is a mindset, a representation of anyone who's willing to stand up and fight, meaning anyone can be Clancy. But realistically, Tyler, the whole idea that Clancy might have been a different person before he presumably died and Tyler took his name. For example, Clancy watching Tyler doing Jumpsuit, the Banditos that copied Clancy's tape design in music videos. It has always been suspicious. Why can't they be original? Why do they have to all unite themselves under one ruler? Interesting. The mask. Clancy sees his bodies, which means he can be represented by anyone. It's like the Spider-Man effect. It's the mask that makes the hero, not who's under it. That's genius. Clancy himself representing hope and inspiring so many to stand up and following his lead. He's setting an example and represents a specific mindset. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of goes back to my thought that Clancy is Nicholas Bourbaki, just we're all united under the name, but we're all pushing for change. Alright, switching categories once again, we have that Clancy is a citizen. Analytical states that Clancy is a citizen of Dima, not Tyler, and the writer of the Clancy letters up until 22/3/17, at which point Tyler takes up the name Clancy and signs his letters like that. The original Clancy may have been found out by the bishops for his writings and killed. Afterwards, Clancy became a pseudonym. The difference in handwriting between letters. All letters before this letter have tighter, neater, and smaller handwriting. The letter after have more wider and spaced out lettering. This could be seen in letters like L, Y, and G. 2. Clancy witnessing Tyler's capture by Nico. I've heard this explained as the out-of-body account in letter 22/3/18. However, I believe this is disproved by 3. Clancy and Tyler having different bishops with different capture styles. Nico seems to cut right to the chase very aggressively, while Keon's calmly approached Clancy and persuaded him to come home. This gentle approach makes sense for Keon's, especially considering he betrays the other bishops, but not for Nico. This is absolutely true. That is something that we have noticed, is that the lettering has been different in the letters, and it's definitely something to take note of and be suspicious of. Another thing I wanted to support this theory with is you mentioned that Clancy had been killed. I want you all to remember back in 2021 when Scaled and Icy was just rolling out. Was it 2021 or was it 2020? Well, whenever Scaled and Icy was starting to roll out, Blurryface liked a tweet from Shy that mentioned Clancy being killed. Vialism took place. The bishops took action against Clancy, and I think this is best highlighted in this theory. Really well thought out and absolutely true. I'm pretty sure this is going to end up being right, because there is no way that that man has been Clancy the entire time. Bozo Supremacy over on Twitter says that Clancy was once a citizen, just like Tyler. When he died before Scale and Icy, the whole Clancy is dead thing in the LOC ARG, Tyler took his name because it had become a symbol. Clancy's bishop is Keon's. Tyler's bishop is Nico. In the DMA org letters, Clancy always describes what's happening from an outside perspective. For example, he is in a cave watching the events from the Jumpsuit music video. During Psy and onwards, the letters start being about Tyler's journey. This again is absolutely true. I wonder if it's one of those things where it's like, you die in a past life and you gain the knowledge from your past life. If it's like that and it's like a clone where your consciousness is being transferred, that would be pretty complicated to explain, but Tyler also created a fictional religion and little creature being, so I wouldn't put it past him. Alright, switching categories. Clancy is Tyler. From Bandito Tyler on Insta, hi! We've been friends for a while. I think from the I Am Clancy video, it seems very likely, but I also feel like he will somehow be connected to the bishops, as in he is one or is related in some way. Going back to the whole Clancy is Keon's sons or Clancy is a bishop theory, definitely think so. Considering the events of Paladin Stray and the letters from FBE, we must destroy them or we will become them, and if we become them, we must do better. I think Clancy's going to be the anti-bishop. He's going to reform Dima by becoming what he doesn't want to become, which is a bishop, or becoming what he wants defeated. You know Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker was seduced by the dark side and he turned into Darth Vader, committed all these terrible acts, but in the end he was the one to bring the balance to the Force. It just took a little while to get there. So I definitely like this theory and how he's going to take back what Dima stood for and reform it to what is actually good. Our next theory, the real Gunker on YouTube, Discord, and Instagram thinks that Clancy is Tyler, and their evidence is looking back at all of the Clancy videos. I feel it is safe to say that it is Tyler, unless it's someone under a mask of Tyler's face. Then I think it's him. I see this. There's a lot of tropes in fiction where it's like, oh, you thought I was one person, reveal the mask, I'm actually another person. I definitely wouldn't doubt that it is something like that. From your local dreamer, supposed to but it's a 7R on TikTok, says that Clancy is my dad. I don't know, but every time I try and talk to him about the lore, he just tells me he's Clancy. Valid. I mean, yeah, honestly. Unless his name isn't Clancy, then, that makes sense. All right, switching categories. This is the longest category of Clancy being Tyler, an alter ego, or being an alias. It's Quill _ on YouTube and Discord says that Clancy is a sacrificial lamb and is also a placebo for a real savior / hero in the storyline. I think this is because there are several plausible theories that Clancy will become a bishop and someone else will have to take his place / save him / save the people of Dima. In order for the real hero to emerge, Clancy has to give himself up / over to the Banditos. He is currently the hero / leader they all look up to, but if he is turned into a bishop, all his power might as well just be a show. Valid. I honestly would read a story about this. I think I did at one point. Like, this definitely does make sense. That would be a really interesting direction for Tyler to take. So, Bucket 2846 on Discord thinks that Clancy is just Clancy, a character within Tyler's mind that he's playing, and a future bishop. I Am Clancy video basically confirms that Tyler is Clancy, and he's likely going to be a bishop because he can seize. Why would he actually be an exception to the seemingly fundamental rule? Keon's robe was strung up on display with "For Clancy" written on the FPE letter, which to me at least indicates it's some kind of twisted gift / passing down of the robe from Keon's to Clancy. This is pretty sick. This is honestly a really good theory. That is something I completely forgot about, was the FPE, since their Europe tour is coming up pretty soon and they're getting an FPE, so I wouldn't be surprised if we got some more confirmation or more detail on that. This is a good theory, I personally believe that Clancy is going to become a bishop. The theory's really been growing on me the last several months. Yeah, I think that's going to happen, and I'm pretty pumped for it. Silver Fox 3195 hi thinks that Clancy is a pen name that Tyler took up. I'm no expert on the lore, but with some inconsistencies in the storyline, it makes sense that Clancy was other people at some point, before the events of Trench and so on. I think Clancy and Torchbearer are symbolic names. I'm moving on from, the reality of it. Like, obviously, the Clancy and the Torchbearer are just, stage names and characters, but within the story there's an individual named Tyler and there's an individual named Josh who took up these roles / titles Tyler and Josh took up. I love the idea that there have always been rebels in Dima who took up roles trying to help others, eventually forming the Banditos. I have no proof of this, but I think Clancy was the name of the first person to take a stand against the city of Dima. Now, I'm actually going to disagree with that last thing. I have this headcanon that Torchbearer was the first one to rebel. But that kind of contradicts what you said, that they're just symbolic roles that Tyler and Josh took up. And you know what? I gotta say, very solid theory. This next person says that technically Clancy is Tyler. He's taken the name as a leader, but Clancy is also a stage name, if you will, an alias. That's the word. He is a sign of hope among the Banditos, or a symbol / pen name for them to keep some type of anonymity. But Tyler / Clancy has become a bit reckless and claimed the name as a sign of power or rebellion. When the bishops claimed Clancy is dead, maybe they had killed the original writer. Maybe they thought they had killed the hope in rebellion. This also might be why in some letters Keon's is stated to be Clancy's bishop while Tyler's is clearly Nico. Also, the out-of-body experience described in one letter could actually be from another Bandito using Clancy as a pen name as they were watching from afar. This is pretty solid. I really wish you gave your credit, because this is pretty solid. To the anonymous person out there who's dropping the truth, good job. Next, this is by Colin's Geeked on YouTube. I think Clancy is another one of Tyler's alter egos, just like Blurryface is. In some music videos, there's a cut in Tyler's nose, i.e. jumpsuit, the outside, but it's missing in others, so I believe it's a sign of him being there, like how Nico / Blurryface has a deep voice to show that he is present, audibly at least. This is actually genius. This is called a motif, and the motif for Nico / Blurryface is a low voice. If I'm going off of what you're saying, the cut on Tyler's nose is the motif that Clancy is present. Either it could be, the real Clancy or Tyler playing Clancy. This is honestly genius. Very well thought out. Another anonymous submission says that I think Clancy is someone Tyler made up in his head as a coping mechanism to help him fight. Trench is in Tyler's head, and most of Top's music talks about the struggles of mental health. This is absolutely true. Of course, this is all a metaphor. This isn't real or anything. This is just a metaphor for the struggles of one's mental health. It's absolutely true. Bella thinks that Clancy is Tyler, but in his mind. Like, I think he is battling his thoughts, and this is all in his head, but it's a serious battle with his mental health, the bishops being the bad thoughts that keep Clancy locked away. And Clancy is like the narrator, kind of. There is some lyrics that suggest this, like in Migraine. I know Vessel isn't really lore-centered, but still. I'd like to disagree with that. Vessel is absolutely lore-centered. I mentioned this in my last video that of Vessel and Clancy's connections. Absolutely, Vessel is a lore record. It just didn't have, the characters didn't have names yet, but the narrative was there. I believe that the story has been told ever since their first album, self-titled. None of the characters, none of the settings had a name yet. It just was a story. But over time, Tyler established the characters and established the narrative in a more structured way. I'd like to disagree. Vessel is absolutely a part of the lore. The lyrics are talking about a war in his head that say, waging my wars behind my face and above my throat. Shadows will scream that I'm alone. And because sometimes to stay alive you gotta kill your mind. Showing the war in his head. I know there's more lyrics and more lore albums, but I can't find any. You know, that's absolutely okay. This is actually a pretty solid theory. I'd like to express my own feelings of, I know Tyler enough, not personally, but professionally enough. He's a fantastic writer and a fantastic storyteller. I don't think he would end the narrative with it being all in his head. Now, absolutely, this is a great idea because in the actual real world, setting aside the narrative world, it's true, Tyler came up with these characters to process his own mental health battle and struggles, and each character has a purpose, but I think narratively, he wouldn't go as far as just saying, oh, it was all a dream, it was all my head. It's a pretty good theory. However he's going to end it, he's going to end it in a good way. But this is absolutely true. I really like this theory. Our final theory from Anonymous is Clancy is how Tyler wants to be perceived, who Tyler aspires to be. So after Blurry Face, Top was left with only the loyal fans, if you know what I mean. And ever since then, we have seen in the music videos and lore that Tyler transitioned into being Clancy. There's evidence because with some of the letters, it seems like Clancy was a different person, but no, Tyler is Clancy. Introducing Clancy as a different person was the seamless way for us to get used to him. And also there's this whole album called Clancy. It's their latest album, so it is seen as a reflection of who the band wants to be. And having Tyler on the cover as Clancy, this shows us that that's who he wants to be perceived as. So my mic died when I was going to drop all this knowledge on you guys, and so I'm refilming this, but it's okay. I reread the theory, and it's honestly a really good theory as to explaining why everything has been changed and everything is different, and a couple of the plot holes even kind of explaining away, the whole handwriting thing is slowly Tyler is morphing into Clancy, morphing into the person he wants to become. So I'm very interested to see how this theory holds up in the long run. I have no doubts in 2025 something's going to happen. I don't know if it'll be a deluxe album, a double album, or an EP. I'm voting on an EP. I've been on Team EP since day one, so I'm really excited to see how this theory holds up. You did say something at the beginning of your theory about fake fans or real fans, and I wanted to just give a quick disclaimer of if you listen to music of a band or of an artist and you like it, you're a fan. I wouldn't want to go see Chapel Roan because I'm her #1 fan. I like a couple of her songs and I'm just a casual fan, and I can understand that, and other people should understand that. You real fans out there, I'm also talking to myself, don't scare away the potentials, okay? I have lost potential fans because I've dumped the lore on them. First thing, you need to slowly bring them in to the fan base. That's how it works. Really good theory, really solid theory. I'm really excited to see how it holds up in the long run. And that is it for the video. Thank you all for sticking with me throughout this entire thing. I really wanted to make this video special, especially since this topic has been heavily discussed, especially within the last year, since the I Am Clancy video dropped a year ago. And we're all trying to pull stuff together before the end of the whole story, because it is coming this year. I can feel it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Quick shout out to my friend Zaina. She got me this shirt for my birthday and it's legendary. They even got Clancy on there. I love this shirt so much. I don't wear it nearly enough, but it's so special to me. So thank you, Z. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.